All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Big B Mortgage Podcast. Today, in my chair, I've got a really great loan officer that I have had the pleasure of recently getting to know, Mr. John Burnham. How you doing, John?
Doing great. Thank you. How are you?
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm doing good, dude. If this weather would make up its mind which way it wants to go, I'd be doing a lot better. But, hey, we do what we can with what we got, right?
That's right. We're below zero on Wednesday and playing golf on Saturday.
There it is, baby. Only in Texas. Who was it? I was talking to somebody the other day, and it was like, you know, they were like, there was some post on social media that they showed me to where it was like, Mother Nature telling Texas you can't have all 4 seasons in 1 week, and Texas's response was, hold my beer. You know what I mean? So I was like, hey,
yep,
sounds about right.
Born and raised in Texas, I can definitely relate to that.
So you're an original Texan?
Yes, sir.
Original Austinite?
No, I'm from Fort Worth. Originally.
Oh, you're an import like the rest of us.
Yes.
Nice, man. How long you been here?
So moved here in 2000.
Yeah.
And born and raised in Fort Worth, and then got married in 99, and then moved to Austin a year later. So I've been here for 17 years. 17 years? Well, you're practically an OG already. That's right. That's right.
So for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure I'm going to have it mentioned in the comment section, John Burnham is with SWBC Mortgage here in Austin, Texas. And you've been how long have you been in the loan game, man?
So I've been originating since 2001, summer of 01.
Wow.
Going on 17 years.
That's about when I started, actually. So how did you what brought you to the industry?
So probably like a lot of loan officers, I didn't really go to school to learn how to be an LO or have ambitions of being a loan officer. But I had a good friend who invited me to take a look at the business. And at the time, I was actually an assistant golf pro, which
really?
I'm not sure my game was really worthy of that title, but I worked at a golf course and worked in the pro shop, so I got the assistant pro title. But yeah, so I was doing that and enjoying it, but I really had ambitions to make a little more money. And so my buddy from school said, hey, I've been doing this for a couple of years. You should come take a look at it. And really the first week I was sitting in his office absorbing what he was doing. It really clicked and it seemed exciting. And so I just got involved and jumped in head first.
Wow. So back then, let me see, we still needed a license back then, but that was kind of like when it was almost like an open book test, right?
It was a pretty low, we used to say a low barrier to entry.
Yeah, not anymore.
Right.
I talked to somebody who was just getting licensed last week, and he was telling me, he was like, man, I was just waiting for him to ask for my first kid. You know, it was like, good gosh.
It's a lot different. It's a lot different today. I mean,
really
a lot of testing, a lot of studying. It's pretty comprehensive test. So we're pretty fortunate to be grandfathered in, so to speak. But also our experience is the equivalent to some of the testing that they do now. We've learned over time just being in the business.
Well, you know, and I don't really have a problem with it, man. Like, to me, I think it's great that we don't just give everybody a ticket on the bus, for lack of a better term, because let's face it, man, when you're dealing with somebody's future in that regard of a mortgage, like it's good to at least kind of weed out the ones who shouldn't be in it.
That's right. As
we all know, I mean, and you know, I was back in it back in 04, 03, I was doing wholesale, and I remember it seemed like anybody and everybody was jumping on the mortgage bus at one time.
That's true.
And it was
It's
chaos.
A huge responsibility.
It really is.
Huge responsibility to handle someone's biggest financial transaction most likely of their life.
Well, yeah, and all the personal pertinent data that we have to collect in this industry. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's definitely not something to be taken lightly. So
for sure.
But so kind of fell into it by accident, huh? Your buddy kind of talked you into it.
It got in my blood and been doing it ever since. I love it. I really do. It's something that I look forward to every day. It's the same but different every day. So that's what I love about it.
So how did you start off? I mean, were you started off straight off as an LO? Because I know some people start off in like support roles or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't have the opportunity to come in a support role. He, again, my friend from school had just built the business doing refinances, and so he had a method to getting the phone to ring, and so I basically sat in a room and waited for the phone to ring, took the call. Sometimes it was just an angry person saying, take me off your list. Sometimes it was, hey, I'm at 8%. Can you take me down to 7%? Because that's about what the rates were back then, 6.5% to 7% on a 30-year fixed. So we're pretty spoiled right now. So, and I just learned the business doing refinances, taking applications, pulling credit, and then basically just handing it off and saying, is this a loan? I didn't really have formal training. And then over time, just kind of learned. In a few months, kind of got the hang of it. And then parted ways with him after just 3 months, and realized that there was a better way to do the business. And so changed gears and went to an Austin-based company at the time, and really got some more knowledge and some more training.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're up there. I mean, for those of you who don't know John, I mean, I can tell you I've heard his name on the lips of a lot of people that I respect very much, which is why I really wanted to get you in the chair.
Thank you.
From a producer standpoint, right? And I always love hearing or learning more about the mindset of the top producer. You know what I mean? Like, what's your story? Where do you come from? You know, obviously you kind of shared what brought you into the industry, but you know, let's start with, what is your why? Why do you do this? I mean, I get you love it, and I know how you got into it, but what keeps you coming back to it day after day?
Well, I think over time I really developed, just like I said, developed a passion for it. I love working with my referral partners. I love taking care of my clients. Quite frankly, I love overcoming what seems to be an just impossible obstacle on a file and getting it closed because we thought of something creative that we could do. Maybe it's just changing the type of loan that we're doing, or just restructuring the loan. And there's a lot that goes into that we don't need to go into, but I call it being ethically creative. So coming up with a solution that makes sense, that fits the box, that fits maybe a different box, and you have to change gears. And so I love bringing that creativity to it, and also getting to the finish line. It's just it's really satisfying, and being at the closing table when someone gets the keys and maybe they were turned down by 2 other lenders and we were able to help them. It's just it makes it all worth it.
It really does, man. It's definitely like one of the ultimate problem solver jobs, right?
It is.
I mean, because a loan is a loan, right? The guidelines are the same, you know, from conventional for you as it is for conventional for me, but the stories are so different. You know what I mean? Like it's almost amazing how many different types of people you get to encounter with. So, how did you build your book of business? Because if you came from that area of refi, answering the phone and making it ring, and then you said you went with a local Austin-based company, I'm assuming was that the part where you kind of transitioned over to working with realtors?
So really,
or builders, or
I really didn't transition to purchase business until probably 2011.
Okay,
so I was in the business a good 10 years before I really had a focus on attracting referral partners that could send me purchases. I just kind of got in the business doing refinances. I was comfortable doing refinances, and I still do, of course, do some refinances. Sure. Last year, as an example, though, 2017, I was 84% purchase, and 16% refi. So it shifted, and I'd say it shifted in 2011 when the company I was working for then was in a partnership with a local real estate company here. So I was actually in a real estate office, and getting to know the real estate agents, and not just servicing them. I had other referral sources outside, but mainly was captive in that office to help those agents be a resource for them and get their clients pre-approved on the spot, kind of be a one-stop shop. And so my mindset started to shift and started to focus on the purchase business, which I really came to enjoy more. And from then just built and kind of compounded those referral sources. And now last year, I think I had just under, I think it was 68 or 69 different referring real estate agents that sent me leads for purchases.
Wow.
In Austin. So, and my goal is to continue to grow that.
So how do you do that? How do you, like, what's your method?
So I have a very specific.
He has a very secret method, everyone.
I'm gonna give you the magic pill here. So
here we go.
Well, what I've learned is that we as loan officers, ultimately as salespeople, right? We are salespeople. We have to have structure in our days, and we have to make time for meeting new clients and referral sources and catering to the clients that we have. So those are two very important things and two very different activities, right? Right. So acquiring new clients, catering to the clients we have. So what I do, what I've developed and learned through some of the coaching that I've gotten, business coaching, is I have a theme day for every day of the week. So Monday is when I call my top real estate agents, my top agents that refer me business. Touch base, check in on how their weekend was. Did they have any clients that need pre-approved over the weekend? Did they have any open houses? What can I do to help them? What can I do to serve them? And just check in. Tuesday is when I call the existing agents and clients on deals that are currently in the pipeline, right? Mm-hmm. So we have these theme days, and we'll call them Tuesday updates. And then Wednesday is when I call my to-be determined buyers. So my pre-approved buyers that have not found a house yet. What's your plans for the weekend? Are you going to be going out shopping, looking at houses? What can I do? And maybe I'm going to be out of town that weekend. Hey, just want to let you know I'm going to be out of town. Is there anything I can help you with? Or here's someone on my team that you can call if in a pinch. And so just prepping for the weekend, kind of figuring out what I can do to serve them. And then Thursday is when I call my past clients, and Fridays is when I call influential business people, VIPs. So it may be a CPA that I work with. It may be a financial advisor. It might be my insurance person, credit repair person, and just checking in with some of the people that are not necessarily real estate agents, but other folks that refer me business. And so I kind of have a call list for each of those days.
Yeah.
Now, I'd be lying if I said I stuck to it perfectly because
come on, man.
I know things happen, right? So, but that's the guide. And so I think at least if you go into each day, you know where your prospecting is, what your mindset is for that day for prospecting for new business.
Right.
Then you can spend the necessary time that you have catering to and taking care of the clients that you have, because that's really critical to get referrals from those clients when they've closed and feel like they had a transaction where they're happy and they're satisfied, and they would refer you, and they'll give you a 9 or 10 on that post-closing survey, because that's what we're all about, is we don't have a business without our clients.
Right. But what I'm taking from this, because I did an interview with, do you know Randy Atkinson?
I know the name.
You know the name? Okay. So I did it. He works here, and we did an interview a little while back, and Randy's always told me, he just describes his day kind of like what you did, right? It's vanilla almost to a point. In other words, like you got your schedule down.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And you don't, and I'm sure you do your best not to ever deviate from that.
Right.
Because the consistency is key. I mean, I don't know. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. And things come up. I mean, there's crises, if you will,
sure.
Right? I mean, urgent things that come up, and a seller who may need to close a day early because their flight got delayed or moved, or just different things that we've got to accommodate. And so we are in the service business, period. I mean, if our client needs to move a closing, we do our best to accommodate that. If a seller does, we're also in service business to the sellers indirectly. We may never have contact with them, but all these parties have to come together to make this deal work. And so the listing agents, the buyer's agents, the sellers, the buyers, there may be appraisers involved, there's insurance people, there's surveyors, you name it. And so we're kind of quarterbacking all those
Absolutely.
People and pulling them together and getting to the finish line. So it's very rewarding.
That is awesome, man. So how many cold calls do you make?
So I have a scheduled time every week where I do cold calls. I do cold calls on Fridays.
Okay.
I schedule 1 hour.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily 1 hour of all calling. It may be a little bit of research. It may be just planning who I'm going to call and meet with. And so perhaps we had a really successful transaction, but I just never could connect with the people on the other side. Sometimes I never talk to the listing agent for various reasons. They have a coordinator or someone, but it's someone that I really would like to meet. And for no other reason, they're a successful real estate agent in Austin or in the area, and our company closes a lot of loans. Heck, we may be on the opposite side of a transaction at some point, and just like for them to know my name when they see my pre-approval letter, it gives my buyer maybe a leg up in the market,
right.
If it's a competing offer situation. So for no other reason, just getting to know these folks, not necessarily to replace anybody that they're currently using or earning their business the first meeting. That's not necessarily the intention. That'd be an amazing result if it was, but
but I mean that's like almost impossible.
It is.
I mean, really, it's like with because on my side of the fence, I came out of recruiting before I just moved into solely managing, and the first thing I had to learn quickly, because cold calling was a huge part of it, obviously, And I know how much you all love it when a recruiter calls you. I know how you guys are just sitting by the phone waiting for that 12th call of the day to talk about rates and why they're so good. But, the big thing I learned very early on is if I'm not going to try to make a relationship with the person that I'm on the phone with, if I'm just going to try and schmooze them and sell them, I'm already dead. Just don't even pick up the phone.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's, and it kind of brings up a point. I mean, I don't even know. Can you even call what you're doing or describing? Can you even call it cold calling? Because I'm hearing more and more from these sales guru guys, the new and up and coming sales trainer guys, that a lot of people are starting to say cold calling is dead, and I don't know how to feel about that.
I would disagree, just from the standpoint of I think it's important to continue to cultivate new relationships. And
right.
So while I think the business wants to transition to this digital platform where everything can be done online, you never have to talk to a person, and there's some of that, and there's a push for that. I really think behind the scenes there's always going to be a need for the creative mind to get it done. It's just not a computer. It's not all automated, even though a lot of what we do is automated. So from a cold calling perspective, it's reaching out to someone who you respect in the industry.
Sure.
It's reaching out and saying, you know what, we haven't met. I may know some folks that you need to know, and you may know some folks that I need to know. We may never do business together, but I really think we ought to sit down and have a cup of coffee and just talk real estate and see if perhaps we can tap into each other's networks to some degree and help each other out. And that's genuinely my approach. I really am, like I said, I'm not about jumping on the phone with someone and trying to replace who they're currently using, because any successful real estate agent has a good mortgage person that they probably refer.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, wholeheartedly. And I think that's an excellent approach. I mean, but I think it starts with understanding that that's got to be the goal. You know what I mean? Like, because I had a boss in my past that I would tell him, like, how am I going to be able to get better at this? And he would just tell me, you got to smile and dial. And it's like, really? That's it? I just got to take rejection over and over and over and over. Isn't that aren't I a sadist at that point? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, it reminds me of when because I did have my own broker shop for a while. I had my own mortgage company for a couple of years in there between 2007 and 2010. A great time to own a mortgage company and during the crash.
You really know how to pick them there, John.
I do. Absolutely. That was great timing. But we had a loan officer. I'm still friends with this gentleman today. We had a loan officer working with us who was hungry for more business, right? What do I do? What do I need to do to get more business? And so we brainstormed on a few ideas, and he came up with the idea of opening up the newspaper and cold calling anybody who had a property for rent in the newspaper. This is back 2007. You could open up the newspaper, right? Here's all the listings for rent, houses for rent, duplexes. And he would call these people and say, I just want to let you know I'm in the mortgage business and I can help you refinance your house if you can't find a tenant. I mean, it was just very creative. I'm not sure he really ever got any business from that, but that's being hungry, and that's cold calling. I can't even say I've really ever done that, right?
Yeah.
So I admire that cold calling mentality, someone who can do it. I'm more into warm calls, quite frankly, but I do make some cold calls. I probably make about 10 every 2 weeks, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
Slacker.
Straight up cold calls. Yeah.
Slacker.
I know, right?
Come on, man. You script a lot?
I don't script.
It's
really
rough,
don't. Right? Now I kind of just naturally have built certain phrases that I say, but I really don't. I don't like reading anything, and I don't like scripts. No.
Mr. Burnham, my name is Bob Scholl.
Right.
I would like to interview you for the Big B Mortgage.
The challenge is
podcast.
when the other side gives a response that's not on the script, then you're messed up,
right?
Toast, right? So if you're counting on the script, if you're counting on the other person to rely on the script, they don't have the script in front of them, right? So yeah, that could be challenging.
Nice. So what would you tell a new LO that's coming into the business?
Well, brand new LO, I would say most important thing is get with a good team.
Yep.
Get with a good team, someone that will mentor and teach you and train you.
Mm-hmm.
And just learn as much as you can about So I have a couple of different theories. One theory is get in and learn as much as you can about loans in the first few months, right? So almost like take the processing role or a junior processor role where you understand the why behind what we need. So there's, I think, a lot of new LOs come in and they just, okay, we need a tax return, or we need a whatever, we need a pay stub, or we need a divorce decree. Yeah, why do we need those things? Or we need the spouse's debts on this particular. Well, why do we need the spouse's income? Can we take that spouse off and maybe do the loan with just one person? So there's a lot of creativity that goes into putting the loans together. So I think understanding the why behind what we need, and why we need stuff, was really important. And then just really becoming a student, a student of the business and learning the craft and reading guidelines. I mean, that's something I didn't do for years. Not many of us have, and that's mundane and it's not exciting. But ultimately, we've got to know what the snakes in the grass may be on certain types of loans. And I think we all get in the sales mindset, right? And we got a new application in. It looks great. We've got this loan that we think is a loan. But meanwhile, there's a deal killer somewhere in there that we don't even know about yet. So really understanding the why behind what we need, and why we need it. Yeah.
Well, and you know what? And you said something there too. Finding that mentor. One of the things that I've been playing with on my team, because let's face it, man. If there's one thing we all know about the mortgage industry, we don't have a heck of a lot of new blood coming into it.
Right.
Right. I think the last statistic showed average age was 56, which I know I'm way younger than 56, but. You know what I'm saying? Like, people just aren't coming in. And I guess part of that's probably with the testing and all that. But then the other part of it, too, is, let's face it, it's kind of a tough business. It's very rewarding. It isn't rocket science, but there's so many moving parts with this job. So many things that you got to be accountable for and know and or learn. So, anyway, to the point I was going to make with it is, one of the things I've been doing, because there's a lot of really great people out there who would do good if they've got the right platform. So we've been playing around with those. And I think the core calls them LP1s, LP2s, but I call them production partners. Mm-hmm. So, I take some of my good LOs, my great LOs, and I attach somebody to them, right? And that LO mentors that new person, and that person works that LO's pipeline and helps that LO, grow, get their loans done quickly or on time or what have you. And the cool thing I've been finding with it is, A, I'm teaching the person how to work a volume, right? B, they're learning our way, like our company's way of doing it. And C, they're getting used to talking to the agents, the buyers. And they're not just sitting there like I did when I first started, scratching their head like, how am I going to build a book of business?
Right.
Because, I started off in the industry in Brownsville, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I did okay. I did good, but it was strictly out of grace and or luck, because I was, I was selling new homes at the time, and I had a mortgage broker who would come in, and I would give him leads and stuff of the clients. But every time he'd come in, man, he'd be standing there practicing his golf swing, right? And so me, a guy who's sitting there in this model home 6 days a week, 8-9 hours a day. This guy's coming in, always happy-go-lucky, just had lunch with the mayor or whatever, and he's practicing a golf swing. I asked him, I was like, dude, what is this mortgage thing all about? And he was like, oh, man, you'd love it. Oh, it's so good. You make your own hours. You come in when you want. All you got to do is help people get their home. There's so many investors and blah, blah. And, dude, he put so much shine on this. It was a lot of shine that he got me excited about it. And then his famous last words were, hey, when you're ready to get into the mortgage business, let me know. I got you. Sweet. So fast forward 2 months, they were making some changes, so I had decided that was no longer for me, so I resigned. But I didn't tell the broker guy I was resigning, but I throw my stuff in the box in the car. I drive over to his office, and he was like, hey, what are you doing here? I was like, bro, I'm ready to do mortgages. He was like, you're ready to do what? I was like, yeah, man, I'm ready to do mortgage loans, baby. Let's do it. He's like, well, did you get licensed? And I'm like, to what? Drive a car? Yeah. I'm good to go.
I need a license for this?
Yeah, and that's when all that reality started to hit. And he was like, well, who are you going to get loans from? I don't know. And literally it boiled down to, The fastest loan you could close back then, and I don't even know if it's the case now, was an FHA streamlined refi.
Yeah, yes.
Right?
Quick.
Now, because I had done new home sales, I knew what people were facing because lenders back then were notoriously doing them on unimproved taxes. So payments were jumping $200 and $300. So once I got licensed, because I'm not going to, do anything out of culture, once I got my license, I started going door to door, man, soliciting refis. I was a door-to-door salesman in the mortgage business. That's
amazing. I think you're the first one I've met.
Yeah. Probably the last one, too.
Right.
But it's just, I said all that to say this. It's like for a new LO coming in, that's like the biggest challenge is where are you going to get the loans? I mean, they can tell you to call your circle of influence, your family, and this and that and the other, but how many people realistically is that?
Well, and I think connecting with your closest circle of influence and asking them for other connections is important. I think a lot of us focus too much on who in our family needs to buy a house or refinance or is there someone in our immediate sphere that has a mortgage need?
Right.
And really the question we should be asking is, who do you know that I should know? Who could you connect me with? And that's an easier introduction. Hey, I'd love to meet a couple of really young CPAs that are building their business, that have reputable practices that I could connect with, and maybe we could help work with each other, and I could refer them, they could refer me, something like that. So you've got referral sources out there that may not be in your immediate network, but that your immediate network knows them, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways. I did networking groups for a long time, and I had breakfast and lunch networking groups, and that was a huge way of just expanding my network. It wasn't necessarily meeting real estate agents. It wasn't necessarily getting a loan from that networking group or that particular meeting. It was, who did I meet that day that I could help and they could help me potentially down the line. And so there's transactions that are happening 15 years later from networking meetings that I had in 2002 or 2003.
Wow.
And so some amazing connections that I made back in the day that I've stayed in contact with. So that would be probably my first advice really to a new LO is networking, and networking the right way. Networking from the standpoint of, I'm at that meeting to give something. What do I have to give? Who do I know that someone else needs to know?
Yeah.
And potentially who can they introduce me to?
Well, and then also, I think social media too.
For sure.
That's kind of the no-brainer, right?
True.
I've talked about social media a lot in these podcasts, and it's because, that's just where we are now. Let's face it. I can get one post, and I'll give you an idea. The first podcast I launched, right? Because I pushed it out through Facebook and LinkedIn and stuff while I was waiting on the iTunes approval or whatever. I ended up getting a phone call from somebody who was not in my immediate connection base. I did not know them from Adam. I told you a little bit about the story, right? They were they had a podcast too, and they want to interview me. But they weren't a friend, but they were a friend of a friend who liked it, and da. The reach that can have is just mind blowing.
It's huge, for sure.
Do you utilize that a lot?
So we do. We have some social media posts and things that we do through our marketing department. I'll tell you, in 2018, that is one of the bigger pushes that our company's making is that marketing push with social media. And in the past, I'll be honest, I really haven't utilized it like I probably should have. I've really been more of a pick up the phone and call.
Well, we're old school though,
man. And that's where we came from. And we really can't dismiss the fact that social media is super impactful right now, and a lot of buyers are starting there, right? 80+% of buyers are starting online, finding their agent online, maybe finding their loan officer online. So we need to be present in that space. We also need to go deeper and build better relationships with our referral sources that we have, so that we have reach within their social media networks and they have reach within our social media networks. So we're helping each other on a personal level, but we're also expanding that reach by who we're communicating with online. So absolutely, it's critical. It's something that we're really doing more this year than we have in the past.
So how do people find you, bud? Anybody listening to this that says, man, that John Burnham, he's awesome.
Well, I
need to give me some more John Burnham. How do they get a hold of some John Burnham?
So I can send I can send folks to my website at johnburnham.com. So it's JohnBurnham.com. And I'm right here in Austin, northwest part of the town, off of Jollyville Road. And we just got our new office space opened up last week, in fact. So very excited about that. Just moved spaces. So, we're ready to roll. It's really 2018's off to a great start. 2017 closed out strong, and I think this will be a really great year.
Nice, man. Well, dude, I want to thank you for taking time to come out here and sit in the chair, bro.
Thanks so much.
Hopefully you had fun, man. I hope it was. I hope it wasn't boring for you.
This is great. No, this is great. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. So, hey guys, you heard him, man. Check out johnburnham.com. That's right, johnburnham.com. And other than that, folks, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave me a review. Give me some likes. Give me some shares. Anything you can do will be beneficial to help me stay going in the right direction for what anybody wants to hear. So with that said, have a great one and stay social, everybody. Bye. Bye-bye.